Now we are going to learn about price elasticity of demand. Okay, price elasticity of demand. So, what is price elasticity of demand? It is the responsiveness of demand of a good to a change in its price. Okay, so whenever the price changes, there will be some change in the quantity demand. So, we are learning about the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a good to change in its price. Okay, how they change. So, what is the equation for price elasticity of demand? It is equal to percentage of change in quantity demand, right? Percentage of quantity demanded by percentage of change in price. So, change in quantity demanded and change in price. And how will you find the percentage of change in quantity demanded? Q2 minus Q1 by Q. Right. Likewise, for price, P2 minus P1 by P. Right. So, now we have to learn about the types. So, we have different types of elasticity of demand. Okay, they are elastic demand, inelastic demand, unitary elastic demand, perfectly elastic, and perfectly inelastic. Clear? So, what are the types? Elastic demand, inelastic demand, unitary elastic demand, perfectly elastic demand, and a perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, so let's see one by one. So, first, let's check the elastic demand. So, what do you mean by elastic demand? So, it means that quantity demanded is very responsive to a change in price. Okay, so when there is a slight change in price, the quantity demanded will change. Okay, clear? So let's see it with a graph. So check this graph. The graph is more the slope is very gentle, right? Like more flat. So let's see the change. So let's imagine that the initial quantity, initial price was P1 and the quantity demanded was Q1. Okay. So the price has reduced. Okay. So reduced a little bit. But check the quantity. The quantity has changed a lot, right? So a small in the price change small change in the price will change the quantity much bigger. Okay. So for example, if the change in the price is 5%, here we can say it is around 10% or 15% change there in the quantity demand. Okay. So a small change in the price means larger change in the quantity demand. That is what we call as elastic demand. So the demand curve is flat with a gentle slope, right? And it has high responsiveness towards the price change. So consumers are sensitive to the price changes. Okay. So likewise, when the prices increases, the quantity will decrease in much bigger quantities. Okay. So the examples are luxury goods like cars, branded clothes, everything, and goods with a many substitute like tea versus coffee. For example, just imagine that the price of tea was 10 rupees and the price of coffee was 12 rupees. Okay. So suddenly, due to some changes in the tea powder, sugar, whatever it is, the price of tea become 50. Okay. So there's a high chance that most of the people who used to drink tea will switch to coffee because it is cheaper and it is like substitute, right? Either tea or coffee will be fine. So most of the people might change to coffee. So that is what we call as elastic demand. For this price elasticity of demand. What will be the price elasticity of demand here? While we calculating it, the value will be what? Any idea? So the price elasticity of demand will be greater than, okay, it will be greater than 1. How will you get it is whether it is greater than 1 or less than 1, etc. So for example, we'll be doing the calculation, right? For example, let's take the case of tea and coffee. So the initial price, okay, initial price was, and we need Q1 here, Q2 here, P1 and P2. These are the quantities. Okay. So just imagine that the initial quantity demanded was around 100 and the initial price was like 10 rupees. And the new quantity is around, let's take it as 160. And the price change was like 50. So we will apply that in the price elasticity of demand equation. Okay. So how will you calculate it? First, you have to find delta QB and delta P, right? For that, so it would be percentage change in the, how will you find the change in quantity? That is 60 minus 100 by 100, okay. All divided by 15 minus 10 by 10. Okay. So we have to solve. So that will be minus 60, so minus 40 by 100 all divided by 5 by, okay. So you can solve it like it's a numbers. So maybe minus 4 by 10 divided by 5 by 10. So while you're calculating and what we can choose this time. So it will be minus 4 by 5. Okay. So what is minus 4 by 5? The value will be less than or greater than 1. So, okay, one more thing, whenever we are finding the value, we will be taking the mode value, okay? So, we won't consider the negative, okay? So, like, it is minus 4 by 5, it will be around minus 8, okay? So we will be taking the value of 0.8, okay? So, this is how we calculate it, okay? This is how we calculate it, and with the value we get. Okay. So each and every elasticity have its own like range, whether it is less than 1, greater than 1, and equal to 1, equal to 0. We have different values for it. Okay. So if it should be a elastic demand, it should be, the value should be greater than. So it is not an elastic demand. This is how we find it. Okay. This is how we substitute the values and do the calculations. Okay. So this is how we find it. So the value should be greater than 1 if it is a elastic demand. Okay. And what if it is an inelastic demand? Inelastic demand means quantity demanded is not very responsive to a change in price. Okay. So even though there will be some change, but it's not very much responsive. Okay. Like there won't be much change. So the demand curve is steep. Okay. Like literally more steep. So it shows low responsive. So okay. Even a large change in price will have a small change in the quantity demand. For example, you can check here initial price and initial quantity is given here. So when the price is P1, the quantity was given. And there is a huge change in the price. You can see huge change in the price, but the quantity changed very little. Okay. So it is like more like necessities like rice, salt, medicines, etc. Even though the price increases or decreases, there won't be much increase in the quantity because we can't consume more than enough, right? For rice and all, we have a limit to consume. And also for medicines, even if the price increases, we'll have to buy the same quantity, right? And even if the price reduces, we won't buy. Okay. And also goods with the fewer or no substitute. So no matter how the price increases, we will have to buy that. And when even though the price is decreased more than a certain limit, we won't buy more quantities as well. That kind of goods will be considered as inelastic demand. Okay. So the price elasticity of demand for inelastic goods will be less than what? The value will be less than. Okay. And next we have the unitary elastic. Okay. So what about unitary elastic demand? So unitary elasticity means that the percentage change in the quantity demanded is exactly equal to the percentage change in the price, which means that if there is 1% change in the price, there will be 1% change in the quantity demand. It will be exactly the same. Okay. So mostly we will be taking a rectangular hyperbola to show the demand, just like this. Okay. and every point on the curve has elasticity. So, for example, if I draw something like this, see, the change will be almost the same. Okay, so if you draw that properly, you can see the change. See, it will be exactly this. So, when the price decrease was like from P1 to P2, if it is 2%, from Q1 to Q2, it will also be 2%. Okay. And it is not that much common. Okay, it's just a theoretical concept. So it's not applicable in our real life. So can't connect it with much examples. Now we have the perfectly elastic one. So okay, for unitary elasticity, PET is equal to what? Now let's take the perfectly elastic demand. That is, even a very small change in the price leads to an infinite change in the quantity demanded. Okay. So that demand curve is horizontal straight line, as you can see here. The price remains constant. So the y-axis remain constant, right? Price remain constant. If the price increases even slightly, demand becomes zero. So for example, you can see that in this case, okay, whatever be the quantity available, the price is the same. Okay, no change in the price. But even if price increases by 1 unit or decreases by 1 unit, the demand will fall to zero. Okay, a slight change in the price will lead to no demand. This is also a theoretical case. Okay, and identical products in highly competitive market. For example, we have shampoo. Let's take the case of shampoo. Okay, so this exact same smell, exact same usage, exact same. It's almost identical. Only the brand name is different. So in that case, if one brand increases the price, the demand for that brand might be completely decreased. Okay, completely become zero. Okay. So for this one, the price elasticity of demand will be expanding. So a slight change can make it zero demands. Now we have one more that is perfectly inelastic. So perfectly inelastic demands means that the quantity demanded does not change at all, no matter how much the price changes. Okay, so it's a vertical line, right? Demand curve is vertical straight line. So the quantity demanded remains constant. Okay, the quantity demanded will be remain constant no matter how the pricing is. Even if it's 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 100 rupees, 1,000 rupees, 10K, whatever be the price, the demand will be the same. There is no change, no effect on price. Okay, price changes have no effect on demand. Why? So the life-saving medicines, example insulin or anything for any surgeries, not anything like that. Okay, if it is that much necessary, that much essential, no matter how the price increases, you still have to buy that, right? And also essential goods with the no substitute, like extreme cases. Okay, so we have to buy that no matter what that is. In such cases, for such extremely rare things, extremely important things, we'll have perfectly inelastic. No matter how the price is increasing, the quantity will remain the same. So these are the different types of price elasticity of demand, and we have already discussed about the equation. So whenever you get some values, okay, randomly get like these values, you can easily identify which kind of demand is that. Okay. So by doing the calculation, you can easily identify that.